A lot of people have very similar concerns: lack of energy, lack of productivity, brain fog, chronic progressive inflammatory conditions. They're all lifestyle diseases. Sinless Treats chocolate, which is turning out to be the most healing chocolate out there that actually helps people combat diabetes, blood sugar spikes. People have been telling me, you need to talk about this. Nobody knows that there are communities in Peru and Bolivia and Ecuador who are fighting to keep their lands pristine, growing that cacao variety and fending off players and who just interested in profit and not at all interested in conserving the earth and those communities in a beautiful way that they coexist.
Beata Lerman.
Freddy?
Okay, so the road to launching Heal Me with Chocolate has been, about a year and a half we met at a business expo?
Yes.
And walk me through all of this. Like, what led you, like, from the moment we met, and then we had you on my show a couple of times.
Uh-huh.
You were on a couple of my friends' shows. And now you've got your own Heal Me with Chocolate.
Well, it has been a dream of mine for a really long time. In fact, I help people navigate health challenges, understand things about their health and the food, and how can they improve different things by changing lifestyle. And I realize I constantly give the same advice more often than not, over and over and over again.
You're saying you sound like a broken record?
I sound like a broken record, yeah. Because, we live in the world where a lot of people have very similar concerns: lack of energy, lack of productivity, brain fog, maybe some kind of chronic and progressive inflammatory conditions. They're all lifestyle diseases. And then, of course, with Sinless Treats chocolate, which is the turning out to be the most healing chocolate out there that actually helps people combat diabetes and blood sugar spikes and inflammation. People have been telling me, you need to talk about this. And then I finally, at some point, realized I need a platform. That platform needs to be a podcast. And I just couldn't think about a better person to come to other than you. Because
Thank you.
From the moment we met and I was on your first podcast out in Pearland, and we were eating chocolate on that podcast and talking together, I knew that you have so much passion and so much heart for really getting the people to the health resources that they may not know available to them. And so I remember I was driving on I-10. I think I was coming back from Austin, and I was like, I need to make this call to Freddy. I was playing that in my head for a few days. It's like, how am I gonna approach it? How am I gonna tell that to you? How am I even gonna set it up? And I did.
Thank you so much. That means, like, from the bottom of my heart. And I knew that when I had you on my show, Cruise Through HTX, and we were talking about your story and what led you to starting the chocolate company, I'm like, this woman is going to light the world on fire.
And I'm going to take my village with me.
And when I say light the world on fire, I mean that in a great way, great metaphorical way. Is it Rumi that said, light your soul on fire and surround yourself with those who fan the flames, or something like that?
Yeah.
But yeah, in getting to work with you, Beata, this is definitely something that has taught me more and more about why, not just why you do what you do, but more about what it is you do and just how systemic the problem is. And so let's talk about like some of the new, like what makes you decide to talk about certain topics within the realm of functional chocolate?
Just the fact how surprised people get when they hear that information. People have no idea. And of course, we have our chocolate factory where we manufacture the chocolate, and now we have a cafe where people can come in and try it and enjoy it and buy it. And education is one of our core missions because we want to see the world better with every ripple that's going out. Like, we may be this epicenter, but we want to positively affect everything. And so when I tell people how we source the chocolate and I show them the videos from the farms, because when I go there, everything is captured and videoed, and we do it partially because, once again, we want the quality control and ethical confirmations that there is nothing questionable or illegal that's happening. But it's also very important because there are people in the world that go above and beyond. And more often than not, those communities are so underrepresented and under-resourced that they don't have a voice. Like, nobody knows that there is such thing as original DNA cacao that has not been hybridized.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows that there are communities in Peru and Bolivia and Ecuador who are fighting to keep their lands pristine, growing that cacao variety, and fending off players like Nestle's and Ritter Scott's, who just interested in profit and not at all interested in conserving the earth and those communities in a beautiful way that they coexist. Nobody knows that it's not all look like a giant monocrop that's visible from space, but there are people who go in and looking at the new seedlings of very exotic trees in those soils that can tell me, oh, this is such and such, and I'm like, wow. Nobody knows what an unhybridized cacao flower look like. I remember when I was at the farms and the farmer Francisco showed that to me, I did not believe him. And I understand that if I'm with boots on the ground who has seen so many different things, had a hard time believing, to the point that I went and I fact check a person who is growing that those trees and like showing me the cacao pods, there is no way without putting highlights on that, those people can have a voice, and people who actually eat the product and enjoy the product and making it part of their experience, celebrations, or, quite opposite, soul comforting from a tragedy. They just don't know. And without having a voice like this, without having a platform like Speke podcasting, those stories would be untold.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And what is wild is that you are in this world of functional food, and you're going and you're learning all these things that, like you said, you had no idea. And so for someone who's not a scientist, I recommend you go back to both of our interviews on Cruise Through HTX so you can learn all about Dr. Beata Lerman's story. But you're a scientist, and you know so obviously more than the layperson, and to still be able to go out and like have your mind blown because, wow, I didn't know about that. Now, what's someone like me who's like moderately healthy and is trying his best? This fat boy still likes donuts every now and then. Like, what chance do we, the guys like me and women, who are trying to do their best also that are not scientists, what chance do we stand?
this world is turning into a wild ride. And now with AI, it's just so hard to say what information is true, because we're being fed from all of our senses and you don't know what to believe anymore. And we stand by our mission to empower people to believe their eyes. And this is why what we're trying to do is not beautified, it's not polished and perfect. We go in and we film with iPhones and whatever we have, but for a reason that the nature is not perfect. It is not in every way, like, sometimes it is symmetrical from every point, but very often it's not. There is imperfection, and really helping people, empowering them to believe their eyes, not just the advertisement, not just a pretty picture or a nice wrapper, but explain to them and have the verifiable sources so they can go and check it themselves. I mean, currently anything can be found on the internet. You can find proof to any statement, to any opinion.
Yep.
It doesn't make it more real or good for you. It just, the question is, how do you discern, like, what was done, what was the controls? Can you really, but once again, when we trying to live healthy, look at the communities who are different from us, right? Those remote tribes who don't have access to medicine, and they're not sick. They don't have chronic diseases. They don't have autoimmunes, or very rarely they have like heart disease or cancer. When I go to those villages and older women, the matriarchs who are 80 years old, and their skin on their hands is as perfect as mine, because they constantly handling cacao. They are exposed to the natural butters and oils of the cacao. They brew it. They do medicinal cacao ceremony, because once again, the tribes know that they have knowledge of different phytotherapies, so plant therapies that grow in the portion of the rainforest they call farms, and they're willing to share that knowledge. What we need to do is to listen and to say, where did we go wrong? How did we go in 50 years from like seeing a child with diabetes once in a lifetime to seeing them every day?
Yeah. Children with fatty liver.
Yeah. So disease that was exclusively reserved for alcoholics, all of a sudden showing up in kids.
That is just, it is just not right. Like it leaves me speechless. I remember you were on the Roses podcast, and I remember Dr. Dixie Malillo may have mentioned the kids with fatty liver in that episode. If it wasn't that episode, it was a different one. But when I heard her say that, I'm like, holy crap, something is not right.
Yeah, and it's our toxin-filled world, right? So for alcoholics, the toxin is clearly alcohol, but kids don't drink alcohol, right? So what is the toxin? The toxin is fructose, the sugar that is in abundance in all of the ultra-processed foods. So the ultra-processed foods is the foods that are so far away from nature that they have to be artificially made to be addictive so they can sell more. In those foods, the wrappers cost more than the food.
Right.
Isn't it crazy?
That is, it is bonkers. Also, and I do want to go back to something you said about cocoa butter for reference for people listening. But yeah, that there could be chemicals that are soon to be banned here, but are not banned here, that are banned in Canada and in the European Union, that were same companies, same candy, but oh wait, we're going to go ahead and use red number whatever, and
40.
red 40 and blue
1s and 2s.
Right. And I'm like, wouldn't it be from an operation, and we're both business owners, so we know this from an operational standpoint, shouldn't you want to like consolidate your processes?
I don't have a global multinational
crazy though.
one of these beautiful days when we do go global and multinational, we will still stay true to our quality and our processes and empowering the world to heal. But I mean, you would think that taking something directly from nature should cost less.
Yeah.
But I think I personally believe that there is a collusion between the agriculture and food industry and the pharma industry.
You cannot convince me otherwise, but that's another conversation. But I want to go back to something you had said about cacao butter. And so just y'all have to listen to the full episode, and I'm so sorry I forgot what episode number it is. I'll link it in the show notes when I go back in post. The reason why chocolate is so cheap is because they strip it of the cacao butter.
Correct.
And then the cacao butter is ...
And the cacao butter is where all of the nutrients, all of the phytonutrients, polyphenols, flavonoids, anything that is good about chocolate, everything that is medicinal and healing is all fat soluble. But because they take all of that away, they actually resell it at a premium to a cosmetics and pharma industry. So they're using all of those flavonoids and vitamins and nutrients and all of that. Then they have to reconstitute the chocolate with something that would be fatty, that would give the mouthfeel and structure, and that's mostly sugar and hydrogenated vegetable fats.
So this is the kind of stuff that you're going to learn about on Heal Me with Chocolate. And Beata is your story is like something out of a movie. I am so glad that we met. I'm so proud to call you a friend, and it means the world to me to hear you say all those things about some company I happen to operate. But I mean, it is an honor to know you.
The feeling is mutual. But I think if people want to learn more about that and see us in the same room, they should attend the Speke Fest that is in October. And I am so excited to be on the health panel. And if people do go and listen to Heal Me with Chocolate and have the questions about their own journey and just something that they were always pressing to know, but nobody could answer them, tell them where they can buy the tickets and come see us in the same room having a conversation.
She took the words right out of my mouth. October 10th and 11th. I'm so glad you mentioned that. October 10th and 11th at a Speke Fest 2025 Night of the Living Pod, and Beata is going to be on the medical panel called My Podcast Saves Lives, because that's exactly what you're doing, not just with the podcast, but with Sinless Treats chocolate. Functional chocolate that's good for your brain. And as creatives, we need all the brain power we can get. So you're going to see Beata, and you're going to see other medical-based podcast hosts. We're working on the rest of our portfolio of clients to get in.
Who else is going to be there? Is it going to be Dr. Dixie?
We're working on all the rest of the panelists. We have the personal and company brand panel. We have that one is coming together a little bit quicker than the health panel, but Beata has graciously accepted one of the first roles, and so
wouldn't miss that for the world.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun at the National Museum of Funeral History. So it's panels. We got workshops. We've got keynote speeches, and we're going to have some games, and then we're capping off day number 2 with an after party hosted by DJ Tony Styles with the museum as the backdrop, and a bunch of networking and podcast hosts and people who maybe just don't want to host a podcast, but they want to be a part of podcasting, maybe as a marketing tool, as maybe a sponsor or an advertiser. So it's really this whole ecosystem that we're trying to build that's going to let podcasters of all stripes, whether it's you.
Well, I haven't always been ready to. Like, how long did I have to ruminate on the idea? And we've talked about it for at least like 2 years before I finally pushed that trigger.
It all happens when it's supposed to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But if you're in community, you're doing something that is worth knowing about, but you're not ready to talk about it, come visit us, see what's out there, and when you're ready, talk to this guy. He's gonna make you a star. Our podcast is, by the way, number 4 in nutrition podcasts, and we are 4 weeks in, 6 weeks in,
about 4 or 5 weeks in.
Yeah,
you're talking about the Good Pods rankings.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Yeah. And so you can see Beata at SpeakFest 2025, again, October 10th and 11th at the National Museum of Funeral History. And the tickets, you can get them at speakpodcasting.com/SpeakFest 2025. Beata, it's an honor. Thank you so much.
Pleasure's all mine.
All right.